Good morning and welcome to Peace Out, where we are all learning that there's not just a button to push and his peace just reigns. We have to actually let it rain every single day. It's an ongoing thing, right? There's not just a one fix and it's good forever because we have things that happen every day. Every single day there's things that's just life, right? We have good things and bad things and this good mix of things to deal with and struggles, and we learned that through those ebbs and flows that we just keep trusting God, and that's where we find that peace. We learn how to rest in that peace as we trust Him with all these things that come every day. In the way of announcements, got two, I think. One is the books in Pakistan are being transcribed still or translated still. So those are a go and should I hear something on those in the next couple of days. Well, the first round, we still got two rounds to go. We got the first round is coming about. It's coming about slowly, but it's coming about, right? But they're having to hand translate everything into Urdu. So that's coming along, and I have my leadership manual, my leadership Bible study guide for leaders, whatever you want to call it, Making of a Leader. It is now available on my website in ebook form, and it's available finally on Amazon in print or on Kindle. So that's available everywhere. So now I get to go on to something new that I've been trying to sort. Not even so much new, but just some other things I needed to be working on to get together, right? Anyway, but just like you, I got all these crazy things that happen all day long, right? And so this morning, as I was getting my walk in and praying and thinking, have you ever just asked God, do you even see me anymore? Right? Do you see what's going on here? And we already know the answer to the question, right? So that makes us kind of like him in the sense that when he asked Adam, "Where are you?" He knew where Adam was. He already knew the answer. And when I ask, "Do you even see me, God?" I know he does. But sometimes it can feel like he's not watching, or it can feel like he's moved far away, or it can feel like, there's all these things going on in my life, and does God even realize what all's going on? Does he see what else on my plate? Does he really see me? And that was the big thing for Hagar, right? Hagar, yeah. Early in Genesis, she was like, she was stuck there, and she was just like, God sees me. God sees me right here. And sometimes we can feel like he doesn't. And so that led me to think about the scripture in Isaiah 49. Isaiah 49 is a really becoming a really powerful chapter too, because it's got so many different verses on it, about him being faithful. He's chosen us, and how he has mercy on those who are afflicted. Isaiah 49 is a really good chapter. I may have to go back and read it again. In fact, I might just go read it here again in a minute. But anyway, but I thought of it because it says Zion said. Now Zion represents those who are God's. That Zion is the dwelling of the Lord. The King James says that Zion is kind of where God lives. But now that he lives in us, that makes us Zion, right? We can draw that parallel. So it says, Zion said, "The Lord has forsaken me, and my God has forgotten me," right? And so I'm like, I find some comfort when I find what I feel in the Bible, right? Because I know God didn't forget me. I know in my heart that God didn't forget me, but my brain goes, where is God right now? Because there's all this crazy stuff going on. How am I supposed to handle this, and how am I supposed to handle that? And did you know this is broken? And you just got all these things going on in your mind and in your life, and our brain goes, has God forsaken? Is God going to help me this time? Is he still with me? But our heart knows the answer already. Of course he is. Of course he's here. He can't go anywhere. He's a captive God in that sense, in the sense that he can't get away from me. He can't get away from you, right? Because he's everywhere. And since he's everywhere, he doesn't have the capacity to leave us, right? But our brains still go down that road sometimes. Or maybe it's just me. Maybe yours doesn't do that, but mine does. Does God really see this? Does God really have an answer for this? Does God really have peace here? Does God really, right? And we think those things with our brain, but in our heart, we know God's faithful. In our heart, we know. And you know what? God sees those inconsistencies in when we're trying to deal with the thoughts and emotions in any kind of circumstances or situations we're dealing with. He sees those, and he just remains consistent. He just remains faithful. But when I find the question in the Bible that I was asking with my head and afraid to say it out loud, I know that God's got me. He's already covered that question. He's already covered it. So there must be an answer, right? And it says this, "But Zion said, the Lord has forsaken me, and my God has forgotten me." And so God's answer was this: can a woman forget a nursing child? and not have compassion on the son of her womb? Can a mom, I think it's interesting, and I don't want to get too graphic. I don't know how old my audience is, but when a woman is nursing a baby, she ain't gonna forget that baby, because that baby cries, her whole body's gonna go, that baby needs food, right? So it's not possible for her to forget a nursing child, right? She's not gonna forget her child. However, it, it goes on to say, surely they might forget. God says they can't. Naturally we don't, but sometimes there are instances where they do. And so God says, surely they may forget, but I will not forget you. And I was like, man, that God just answered that question. Even though I know in my heart that he didn't forget me, and he's got his eye on me and he knows what's going on. Sometimes those questions still come up. Are you watching? Are you looking? Are you just looking? Can you help me? I need some wisdom. I need some help. I need something, right? And he says, I won't forget you. And listen to this next verse. It says, see, this is New King James Version. See, I have inscribed you on the palms of my hands. Your walls are continually before me. And so I looked up that inscribed, and it basically means tattooed. Now, don't go off on that. Don't get religious, okay? Because it says, in the Strongs, it says engrave, to scribe, to cut in stone, which that sounds like it would hurt, right? To print or set. So it says, I've actually set you in my hand. So we are kind of like God's tattoo, if you want to look at it that way, right? And so I was like, wow, that is really, that is just totally cool to me. That God's like, I've got you tattooed or printed or inscribed in the palm of my hand, and I cannot forget you. There's no way that I'm going to forget you. Even if the mother forgets her child, God won't forget me. God won't forget you, right? And then it says this next part, it says, okay, it says, I have inscribed you on the palms of my hands. Your walls are continually before me. Well, I'm like, well, your walls? What are my walls? The walls of my apartment, the walls of my heart, the walls of my brain? What walls? And walls actually means to join, or a wall of protection. So he's like, your protection is constantly in front of me. I'm constantly protecting you. God is not going to let down the guard, right? He's not going to forget us, and he's not going to let down his guard. He's not going to take away that protection. He's not going to take away that peace. He is the most consistent thing in our lives. When our lives are tipsy turvy, topsy turvy. There you go, topsy turvy. When we're in a whirlwind, when things we're going, it's this never. Now I'm not this way right now, but sometimes I go through times where I'm like, everything seems broke, including myself, right? Nothing seems like it's working right, right? And we go through those times, but he is still, my protection is still right in front of him. He is still concerned about protecting. He's still the keeper of my soul, my mind, my will, my emotions. The key is, I gotta do the letting. I gotta let the peace reign. I gotta let him be my protector. I've got to let him be my God, because he won't overrun us, right? If we don't want him to protect us, if we want to sneak out on the other side of that wall, he'll watch us, but still be watching us. That's the thing. We can't get out from under his watchful eye, and not in a negative way, not in a I got my eye on you, but more like, I got my eye on you. I'm not going to lose sight of you. I'm not going to forget where you are. I'm not going to stop coming after you. I'm not going to stop protecting you. I'm going to continually, my heart will be toward you. That's what God says to us. Isn't that amazing? That's something to really think about today. You can't escape his sight. You can't escape his heart. You can't even escape his hand, because he has you printed on his hand. He has you tattooed right there. You're right there. It's like a tattoo that you can't wash a tattoo off, right? He's got your name written right there. He's got all of us on the palm of his hand. And then I believe it's in John, it says that when you're in his hand, no one can pluck you away from his hand. Nobody can take you out of his hand. You were stuck there. And it's a good place to be stuck. Don't you like being stuck there? I do. So we can trust him for today, and we can peace out, because he's got us and he's not going to forget us. Have a great day. You guys peace out. I'll see you tomorrow.